Hey, so we're just getting started in just about 30 seconds or so. I thought I'd get on and make sure I have everything set up correctly. So if you see me looking to the side here, that means I'm looking at my notes. Make sure I don't forget anything. So, my water. Hope everyone's had a good day and enjoyed friends and kids, mainly kids, right? That if you are working, that things went smoothly, and now you're home and investing just a little bit of time to become more successful and find ways to enjoy your kids in even bigger and greater ways. All right, well, it looks like we are about ready to start, so I'm gonna go ahead. And just a reminder, if you hear things that you want to maybe think, I want to listen to that again, or maybe you were just late and didn't have a chance, we'll always have this up on the page. The first one's up now, and you can see that. It's pretty raw, but it's there, and you can get the gist of what we went through. As we get started, so you've all had a chance to, hopefully, and if you haven't, no big deal, you can just do it when it works for you, but to really look at how often are you yelling at your kids, and is it more or less than what you expected? Was it right about what you expected? And then maybe you've been able to think about, wow, it seems like it's happening more at this time or at that time. What's going on with me? What's going on with the kids? And so you start asking these questions. And when you become, kind of a researcher of your own life, it's interesting. I had a guest on my podcast. Well, actually, we've recorded, but the podcast will come in about September. But she's a historian, and she was talking about how we are living history, and that people, 50, 100 years from now will look back on our time and look at us as these historical people. And so as we are recording and researching what is going on with our family, not only are we building our history, but then we're able to make data-informed decisions. And it really does work with families and kids to have that information instead of just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. So if you did it, great for you. I'm so proud of you for doing that. And then today we're going to talk just a little bit about some of the things that you can do now for you to help you with having that positive, peaceful relationship with your kids. And one of the things, this is someone that I actually interviewed for my podcast. Her name is Linda Bjork, and she runs a not-for-profit, a support group called hopeforthehealingfoundation.org. And if you want some more information, she is amazing, and she's got this gentle, sweet, wonderful voice that I don't really have, but she's just wonderful to listen to. And so if you want to find out more, just go to that hopeforhealingfoundation.org. And she talks about something called music, movement, words, and water. And she says, though, the first 5 to 10 minutes of your day will set up the whole feeling for the rest of the day. And there's 4 things that you really need to include to get you started, and it's not nearly as complicated as it sounds. So she calls it the MMWW. And so that first M is music. And boy, when you start the day, put on your favorite song. Have it on your phone, have it on favorites, and really play that. Or maybe you don't want the same song every day, but have that morning playlist. And so that morning song, they usually last about 3 to 4 minutes, right? And so during that 3 to 4 minutes, movement. Why don't you dance to that song? Get up and just dance around the room, dance while you're making the bed, if that's what you do. Dance while you're pulling your clothes out for the day. Whatever it is that you have something going, but get your body moving. You don't want to watch me move. I dance in the morning to songs and my husband just laughs at me. He says, "You're crazy." I'm like, "I know, it's great, isn't it? It's wonderful." So anyway, oh, it went dark. Hang on. And so you've got your music and you've got your movement, and it's all taking up in the same time, right? And then words. So you can write the words down. You can decide you're going to write 5 words, positive words of things that you expect to come today, or 5 words of things that you are grateful for. But it's all in positivity. It doesn't have to be a huge journal entry. Just 5 words is all you need to give for yourself, but then they're in your mind and you're really thinking on them, thinking about them, and you're projecting goodness and happiness into your day. And it really does help. I've used that in my life, and it made all the difference in the world. And then water. Start out, have that bottle of water, if you use bottled water, and just empty it. By the time you're done brushing your teeth, getting ready, putting your makeup on if you're a makeup wearer, and just get that all watered down. So you're starting off with your body's in balance, your mind is in balance, and you're in a positive mode. And if you'll do these things in the morning, these 4 things, it doesn't take long. You can do it while you're working, while you're getting dressed, while you're preparing for the day. You can get it all done. And then you're ready more to start the day. That's something that might help you with finding your own inner happiness, not based on what's happening to you, but based on how you are changing your outlook. So we talk about one of the things that I hear parents will yell at their kids, "Act your age!" And the truth is, they probably are. And so it's really important to understand what is normal for their age. And so I just put down 3 or 4 little things. There's so much more, but 3 or 4 little things that you can think of as your kids are growing. And then there's so many great websites that will tell you what is normal for their age. What are the things that they're going to be working on? What are some of the challenges that you might be facing? And you shouldn't be irritated with the kids for acting normally. It doesn't mean you need to put up with it if it's a negative behavior. And there are lots of negative behaviors that are normal. But it's a teaching time. It's a time to teach them how to move forward and move along. And so when you have a brand new baby, know that sometimes a baby just needs to cry. And it's exercise for them. It's good for their lungs. It strengthens their lungs. And maybe they're colicky, and there's just nothing you can do to stop the crying because they're uncomfortable. It's not that much that they need to maybe go to a doctor or a hospital, but they're just crying because they're uncomfortable, because their body is still getting used to working. It's a whole new experience out there. And so in that first year, really, if you can, and just maybe take a breath, put in your earbuds and put on some soothing music, something that makes you happy, and you can walk around, put the baby on one of those holder things in the front if you need to get some things done, but that baby's close to you. When they're crying, they really need you. They just need you. And so maybe you can just sit down, and who cares if the laundry's done? Who cares if dinner's gonna be a little late or whatever? But you can sit and just hold your baby for a while. Maybe you can take turns with your spouse. Maybe you have a friend that can come and hold the baby, or even do some things for you while you hold the baby. But just try not to get really overly upset, because the more tense you are and the more agitated you are, the more the baby's gonna cry. And if you absolutely have to, just put them down and let them cry for a while, and you go into another room and take a breath, I'm okay, this is normal, we can do this, then you're going to do better. Another thing in that first year is they really do need that frequent, gentle touch. When you're holding them, when you're playing with them, giving them tummy time, you're interacting with them, they do need that frequent touch. And so trying to find time that you can do that is a priority. And so again, things can get put off, or you can maybe ask your spouse for help. Hopefully your spouse knows enough to just help. And it's either playing with the baby or getting something done. And those are the choices that, you know, you really have when you've got that first year of a baby. And then they also really need to hear your calm voice. And so when you're upset or yelling at someone, if you're on the phone, if you're yelling at someone, that's probably an indication that you're going to yell at your kids. And so we want to be sure that we're being calm and confident in the way that we're interacting with others as well as with our baby. When they hear anger and yelling and frustration in their lives, that can set them off, and it can actually have an effect on their growth and progression as they're getting older. So think about that. And then if you can, have their needs met as quickly as you can. If they're wet, don't put it off, change them. If they're hungry, don't put it off, feed them. And it's not spoiling the baby. You can't spoil a baby that's under a year old, because right now they're deciding, is the world a safe place? Is it not a safe place? Am I going to be cared for? Am I going to be loved? They're not thinking those thoughts actually in their head, but they are processing that emotionally as they're growing in that first year. So don't worry about spoiling your newborn. Give them all the love and support that you can. Now, let's look at a 1-year-old. They're becoming mobile. They're very curious. They're going to get into stuff. That's just what they do. So I've seen parents get mad at, a 1-year-old or 18-month-old for getting into a drawer or getting into something. That's their job. That's what they do. And so we can kindly, oh, no, we're not playing here, and move them along, redirect them. We can show them something else that will grab their attention. We can look and see what are the things that are available to them, and are those safe things for them to have. And so if it's not safe for them, you probably want to put it up higher out of their reach, because they will find ways to get into things. Once they start crawling, they don't even have to be walking. As soon as they start crawling, and that's their job. This is what we want them to do. We want them to explore and get into things and open cupboards, and they're building fine motor skills. They're building gross motor skills. And so, we don't want to slap their hand and say no. We want to make it so that it's a safe place for them to investigate and to look at things. And kids are different. I mean, I had one child that crazy. She would start getting into things, or I remember we'd be at my mom's and she played with the stereo knobs, and I just went over and said, no, sweetie, that's not for you. Don't touch. And I took her off and gave her a toy in another room. She never went back to it. Weird, huh? But none of my other kids did that. Oh, you mean in this moment, but then, a minute later, oh, we're done with that. I can go back, right? They're just curious. They're not being defiant. They're just wanting to know. And so if it's something that's going to cause a problem, and maybe you're at your mom's house, just put maybe a blanket over it or something that takes it out of sight. You don't want to redecorate someone else's house, but you do want to make sure that your house is safe for them to explore. Now think about all of these pieces as you're looking for a childcare. If you are looking for a childcare, how often is my baby going to be held? If it's 5-to-1, you get overwhelmed with 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 if you had twins. But generally they're 5-to-1 with newborns. And so how often is that baby going to be held and touched and nurtured? And you can ask these questions. How do you support their investigations and their curiosity. We want them to be curious and looking at things. And they'll look at another child. They don't know that's a person. That's just like a toy. And so you'll often see them go for eyes. Eyes are shiny. No, 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 right? We don't want you to touch eyes. But we do it in a calm, nice way. We don't get angry with them over it. We do it in a calm way, and they'll get it. And the reality is if it takes 100 times, that's normal. That's within the realms of normal. Is that the craziest thing? But it may take that, and so we need to be patient with them. And then just remember that they're starting to have emotions. I want that. They don't really understand that belongs to someone else or that isn't safe for me. All I know is I want that. And so they're just starting to feel those emotions. They don't know really what to do with them. And so again, the calmer we are and the more that we reinforce, we are patient as we come back, we distract them with something else, then that's going to help them be more calm. And then as they grow to be a 2-year-old, now their emotions get bigger, right? And their defiance gets bigger as well. So they're starting to understand that, oh, I have a voice. I can say no. I can refuse. And all of those things are actually things that we want them to be able to do, but only at appropriate times. And so just understand that we're going to guide them. It's very typical for them to have that. They are acting their age. They're acting exactly right for their age. And so we're just going to help them through that. And if they are really upset, we can hold them. We can try and calm them down. If they start arching, don't you love that? The arch. We can just put them down on the floor and they're happy to cry, but we can either be near them or away from them. Different kids have different needs, but we're not upset by this because this is normal behavior. It doesn't mean that we have to give into it. We need to teach them and guide them through it, but that's what they need, is that guidance through it. We don't get mad at a first grader because they're just not reading on their own. They need to have a teacher and a parent that will help them learn the process and to get to that knowledge point. It doesn't just happen overnight. It takes a lot of work and a lot of guidance. It's the exact same thing when they are a year old, 2 years old, and they have all of these big emotions. It doesn't mean that we say, oh, well, no. But it just means that we need to teach them and guide them and be patient through it with them. And then what's a fun thing about 2-year-olds they are really excited to help. In fact, that's a really good way to distract them to something else. Oh, hey, do you want to help me put the dishes in the dishwasher? They actually love doing it. They're going to do it all wrong. Who cares? They're helping, and they're getting to feel more confident in what they're able to do. They're getting more confident in their autonomy. They're feeling closer to you when they're involved. Have them sit up on the counter and, you can measure something out and let them pour it in the bowl when you're cooking. Let them help you vacuum. Let them help you do some of the laundry. Yeah, they might mess it up and you might have to go back and do it later, and that's okay. Who cares, right? But they're drawing closer to you when they're helping. They love to help. Take advantage of that. And let's see. Oh, and they love being around other kids, but at 2, they don't understand all of the rules about being around other kids. And so they might bite another child. Not acceptable, normal. Unless they're biting too much. Then we need to, but even then, we're still going to do the calm guidance with it. We're just going to do more of it when they are doing that a lot. When they take a toy and hit a kid with it, they're not really being mean. They're just asserting themselves. Again, not acceptable, normal, and we're going to help them through other ways to get what they want. They often will get very upset with you because they know what they want. Excuse me. Oh, just a second. They know what they want. They just don't have the language to say what it is they want. And so they may know that they want that white, fluffy unicorn, but they can't say unicorn. They may know the word unicorn, but they might struggle with saying it. And so then I keep telling you what I want. In their mind, they're telling you exactly what they want. You're the dummy that's not understanding them. And they will get frustrated and start screaming after they've tried to tell you a few times. Normal. And we're just going to keep working on it. And you can say, oh, the unicorn. Unicorn. You want the unicorn. I love the unicorn. Is that what you wanted? You know, and just be positive and get to listen to them. It's funny that at 2-year-olds, oftentimes, mom and dad will understand what they want more than someone else, a stranger. And that's one of the things is as you're looking at speech development, could a stranger understand what they are asking for? And so you want to help them work through that. Okay, let's move on to 3. Tantrums are still very typical, but you want to guide them through them, right? I understand you're upset. It doesn't mean, and especially if they throw a tantrum, I would not give them what they're asking for. Tantrums are not the way to get what you want. Okay, fine, here it is. Ooh, you've just asked for more tantrums. So tantrums are not the way to get what you want, but you do need to help them and say, maybe you don't understand. Maybe you're going to say, sweetie, I want to help you, but I don't know what you're asking for. So go ahead, you can cry when you calm down and I can hear you, I can understand you, then maybe I can help you. But I can't help you when you're like this. Even if you kind of can understand them, I would still use that language. And so we're moving forward and teaching them that tantrums, bad behavior are not the way to get what they want. Imagine, man, if you started that early on and the kids are getting older, because tantrums will be used now later on to manipulate more than at 3. It's just, I want what I want and I'll cry until I get it. It's not, if I cry, my parents will be embarrassed and then they'll give me what I want. That I can move my body the way I want. So that might feed into some of the defiance that's going on, because they're trying to see what the boundaries are. What can my body do? What can my brain do? And so again, guidance rather than punishment is really the way to go. And again, trying to stay calm. And they're just starting to understand that other people have feelings too. It's just beginning.